The painting dried beautifully and the marks all stayed where I put them. So the paint was just at the right stage when I made the markings, when I intentionally drew in the design. So now I'm going to just finish it off by adding some magenta and some green and maybe a little bit of the yellow into the bananas. And so I'm just picking it up with the side of the flat brush. And yep, that may be a little problem because now you won't really see it separate from the background. But aside from the fact that this brush is behaving so badly, so maybe I'll leave a little of it. The edges there. And then I'll put in a little green, and well, I've got brown on my palette, so I'll put some brown in for the stalk. But essentially I want to leave the colours as they are. They came out so beautifully. I mean, it's such a lovely blend and nice, interesting markings. Why ruin it? I mean, it's kind of unique. And the cherries, like this cherry's got a bit of green and a bit of red. And this one as well. So I'm going to leave them just like that. But I don't want the lines quite so thick. I'm going to have to get a new brush. If you use these brushes once and you clean them, and you come back to use them again, they are destroyed. If you carry on using them day after day, they're okay. But if there's a long break between the days that you use them, then they just don't seem to recover. So that's how I'll do this one. But I definitely need a new brush. The last of my horrible set of Keep Smiling brushes made in China. This is a size 12, so it's quite a big brush. But I have no choice. All the other brushes I have are enormous. So I will just continue with the magenta where I can. Oh, at least that's working nicely. And so here I will have to kind of drag it out a little bit to blend in with the paint. So I'll continue and I'll bring you back when I'll show you how I'm going to do the cherries. Because a lot of them have got green outlines, so it kind of helps, but I don't want the outline so thick. But it helps to separate them from the background. At the same time, I want to keep the colours in the cherries without, adding too much. Because of course I could just paint cherries with oil and get them very realistic, as I have done in the past. But that's not the purpose of these paintings. The purpose of these paintings, of painting intentionally, pouring out intentionally, is to get the benefit of the magical mixture of colours that you get, like this here and here. I mean, that is just so pretty. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks that they are very pretty, and that there has to be, there have to be more ways to use them than just as blooms. That one I did a bit more than I intended to. But for the most part, I'm just going to remove the outline. I mean, that one I could leave half green, so I think I'll do that. I'll just use some green paint there, so that that line isn't so obvious. And of course you could leave it just like this with the lines, just as people do with their blooms and their botanical designs. They use the finger or the back of a paintbrush and they leave the outline just like that. But my idea is to do something more and to do it in such a way that you incorporate both the beauty of the colors of the Dutch pour, or acrylic pour, and the beauty of completing it in such a way that you can see exactly what it is. If there had been more white in the background, that would have made more of a glassy, like if it was more like this, more of a glassy, or like this, glassy bowl, then I wouldn't have had to do so much with the outlines. But because there wasn't that much white to begin with, there has to be some distinction between the fruit and the background. I don't want to paint away the background, that's for sure. I want to keep it as much as possible. So some of them I'm going to add green in rather than the magenta. I think that's what I'll do. This one's got a bit of yellow in. I've made quite a few changes. I don't know if you can see them, but I've added, there was a lot of yellow in the banana, so I just added a little bit there. There's more yellow in between the two, and in the top, that's still the original color, and so is that. But I just added a little bit there. And I added green into the grapes and around some of the cherries, and in some of the cherries, and around the apple rather than the white. And then I changed the bowl, which was green all around. The green had come through from underneath, and I made that white so as to set that apart. And then the leaves are green, except this one came out quite a bit of red. And I'm not sure if I should maybe just do a slight white outline just to show that there are leaves and some veins in between. So those are the only changes I make. And yeah, you're not going to see me doing little sponges to make all the grapes the same size. And I mean, that to me is just, that's not art, and that's not, you wouldn't see grapes all exactly the same size or the same color in any supermarket that I've been to. I haven't seen that, nor on my table. But I mean, each to his own, and that's what your perception is, and that's, I guess, okay. If you want everything to be identical, but that's not my idea of art. I like things to look as natural as possible, even when they're abstract, as in this case. The painting turned out just the way I wanted it. I went around the green, around the bowl with white, and then after a while I smudged it with my finger, just so that it wouldn't be so, definitely a line. And then I did the same around the fruit, like the apples. I went around in red, where there was green showing, or white, and then I smudged or magenta, and then I smudged the magenta into the background. But you can still see a clear definition there. And the same with the grapes. And first I did a bit of green around the grapes, and then I did a bit of magenta around some of them, and smudged that together, and that sort of made a nice mauvish, purpley, well, deep plum tone to the grapes. They're more like the color of grapes, although there is still some of the original color showing, like there's the yellow and there. So, and then the cherries, I did the same. I just did a very thin line of green, and then I smudged it. Those I more or less left them as they were. I didn't want to remove these white marks. That's just part of the design, part of the background there as well. And the leaf, I went, I did a little bit of green and just to add it in to the outline in there as well. But essentially this is all as it was. The insides of the apples are as they were, and the cherries as well, and some of the grapes. And the bananas very much as they were. Just added a little yellow around this edge and just left those as they were from the original blowout. So I'm very happy, and it shows what you can do with a few colors and with an acrylic blowout, and then just finishing it in oil paint. So if you like this, it was again another one of my own original ideas. So please like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already, in order to help my channel to grow. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.